We're just looking at the test. Everybody's taking it. All grades are in. I want to talk about domain and range. We did projects that had domain and range in it. You guys still are not 100% clear on domain and range. Tell me some questions that I asked you on your test, because there were different things that I asked you based on what your graph looked like. Tell me some things that I wrote down in your test. What did I write, Matthew? Are there any more domain and range numbers? So we're looking at number 7, domain and range. And I wrote down comments on your test because I'm trying to get you to think about domain and range. So the first thing I said to one person was, are there any other numbers in the domain and range? What else did I write down? Are there only whole numbers in the domain and range? What else? Why did you put arrows on the end of your line? What do the arrows on the end of the line in a graph mean? Keeps going, right? Like this was another one that I saw right here, where it was a line segment. There weren't arrows on the end, and there were specific points on the line. And those would be the same points that she named down on domain and range. So I said, are there only whole numbers? So everything that you graphed looked good. I didn't take any points off for domain and range unless you didn't answer it. Okay? I didn't mark it wrong. The domain stands for which letter? X, alphabetical order, X before Y, D before R. That's one way to help your domain is about X. So if I'm looking at this line right here, I'm going around the X-axis. Where's the function? Right here. If I go over here, where's that function? Down here. If I go over to 10, where's that function going to be? It's going to infinity on both ends. The line is going to infinity. That would be all real numbers then for a linear function. What about the range? That has to do with Y. The range is going this way. If I go right here, where's the function? Right here. If I go down here, where's the function? Right here. If I go down to 100, negative 100, where's the function going to be? Right there. So the range would also be all the reals. Would be on this homework assignment that you did, which was called Understanding Functions. If you look at the domain, again, I didn't mark them wrong on this. I only counted it whether you said it was a function or not. I didn't count domain and range on these ones. Here, I can see the domain would be exactly these numbers. It'd be exactly -3, -2, 1, and 4 for domain. Those are specific places that it is. And the range would also be specific numbers at -4, 2, 3, and 5. Okay? That's what would be a domain and range on a picture like this. What about this one? What's up, Leah? Because the graph is points. The graph was only points. What happens when we move on to the next one and it starts to become a function that has lines that are connected? Where's the domain for this function? Does the domain exist over here for this function? Does it exist here? Does it exist here? There's an open circle. Does it exist there? Open circle means it does not exist there. That would be like having X is greater than -4. It doesn't include -4, but it includes -3.99999. The second you leave there, the domain starts. So an open circle means it does not include. Where is the domain? It starts at -4 and it goes where? Where's it going to? Does it stop right here? Where's it go, Matt? It goes to infinity because the arrow is going off to infinity. That function is going to continue. So for this one, I could say that the domain would be that X would be greater than -4. X is greater than -4. I could say it like that. I could say it's starting at -4 and it's going to positive infinity. Interval notation we're working on this year. You'll see that in chapter 1. All right, what about the range of this function? Where's the range? Notice how I take my pen and I actually run it along to visually be able to look at it. Does the function exist down here? Does it exist here? 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 Yeah, it starts right here. So that would be Y is 1. And where's it going to? Does it stop right here? No, it's going up, 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 up as well. So you're actually starting at 1 and going to positive infinity. So I could say Y has to be greater than. Is it equal to 1? Is there something actually at 1? There's something here. There's something here, 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 an infinite number of fractions in between there. So yes, it does exist at 1. So this time I would say greater than or equal to 1. Or I could say interval notation, square bracket, it starts at 1 and goes to positive infinity. This would be the one that you're most likely to know right now. All right, last one. This one's not a function, but I want to know what the domain and range is. What's the domain of this function? Where does it start? Where's it going to? Does it exist over here? Here, here, here. It starts at 0, and yes, it is at 0. So it includes 0, and it goes to positive infinity. You could say the domain is x is greater than or equal to 0, or you can say, yes, 0 is included, square bracket, goes to infinity, rounded bracket. Rounded bracket means it doesn't include it. How do you stop infinity? Is infinity a definite place to stop? No. So you put rounded bracket. And then the range, what about the range on this one? Range, is it up here? Yes, because it's going to up, 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 up. What about down here? Same thing. So it would be all the reals for the range. I just wanted to mention domain and range. We're going to be working on it in chapter 1. Next thing we're going to do is I want to go into your drive. We need to show, does anybody know how to make folders in their drive to organize stuff? Let's take a look at your drive. Open up your drive. Let's just take a little look at it. All right, so in your drive, you probably have lots of things that are going on in there. You can come up here to where it says new, and you can click this, and you can create a folder. Why don't you make an Algebra 2 folder? So click folder, and you're going to say honors, Algebra 2. You have an honors Algebra 2 folder. So you can create folders for any of your classes. Okay, I'm probably starting to get a little bit complicated in your drives. Maybe you can't find some things. When you're done making an honors Algebra 2 folder, I want you to hit a new tab, and let's go in and find your digital ISN. You have a digital where you're putting your parallel and perpendicular lines, where you've been putting some stuff. So let me show you how you can get to your slides. If I'm in the Google Waffle right here, I can actually hit slides, and that'll bring me into the like a doc page, a slides page. And I go in there, I can find my slide in there. I want you to click on your Algebra 2 digital ISN. And I'm going to stop there for a second to let you get caught up. You should have one folder made that says Algebra 2, and then you should have your digital ISN open. And the digital ISN should have functions here under linear, 4 types of lines. You should have your parallel and perpendicular already uploaded. For linear regressions, you're going to take a picture of your test. You're going to take 2 pictures. One picture, you're going to take a picture of just the graph, get in zoomed really nice on a nice picture of your graph. Okay, just your graph. And then I want you to take a picture of the up part data. 2 separate pictures. Because if you try to put one picture, it doesn't look very good on your, so we want the data from left hand, right hand, and then the graph. And that is what's going to go for the final part of your digital ISN. You have your parallel and perpendicular, most of you guys do. Linear regression. After regressions, there's no more for lines, that's it. So we want 4 types of lines, parallel, perpendicular lines, and linear regressions. Those are the only things that you'll have there for linear functions. I'm going to delete everything else, write an equation, that. Might leave a blank one if you didn't, that's okay. And then quadratics is where we're starting now.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
So I put things in it and then I submitted it because I didn't like connect
Oh,
it.
yes. Yeah, you can go and unsubmit it now because I already have your grade. So you can't do anything with it, right?
Yeah, so I was just asking if I had to make a new one or if I could just
No, you can unsubmit that from Google Classroom so that you can have access back to it again. I have your grade. Good question. If you submit a slide, you can't do anything with it until you unsubmit it. All right, there's a reason why I brought you here, and that's because of this little folder up here. There's a folder up here, and I want to put this Google slide into my Algebra 2 folder. So here's the folder. If I click on that, I want to move it. I want to move this into my Algebra 2. So look for Honors Algebra 2. Go to the arrow, and you're moving it in there. Every time that you have a paper, you can just go to the top, look for the folder, and organize your work as you're doing it. I'm going to put this in my English 9, 10, 11, whatever you're in. Okay, that's how you would organize your drive, by making folders. And every time you're making an assignment, go to the folder and put it in there so that you can find it more. All right, so when you do upload that to Google Classroom, you do need to, let me say, you need to go into your drive and get it. Google Classroom, I want to show this for uploading because students are having a hard time with uploading classwork. Let's see, where is that? Linear regressions, right here, Digital ISN. If I wanted to upload this right now for my assignment, I found the Digital ISN, October 15th. I'm trying to make the dates in PowerSchool match with this. I would click on View Assignment. And what I would do is I'm going to unsubmit mine, unsubmits. I'm going to X out of it. All right, so here I am. I need to upload. I'd go to Add or Create. I do not go down to Slides. Slides means docs, slides, sheets, drawings means you're creating a new one. It says new. We have to go into our drive, and we have to find it in our drive. It might be under recent, or it might be in the folder I just put it in, Honors Algebra 2. There's my digital notebook. I'm uploading it, and now I'm going to turn it in. I want to make it very clear in this class. Very, very clear, because I will mark it wrong. If you use a graphing calculator and it doesn't say to use a calculator, you don't get credit. You're only allowed to use your graphing calculator when it says to use a calculator. So in the homework, it doesn't say anything about using a graphing calculator. That means you're doing it by hand, but you could check your work to see if you did it correctly. Okay? Please make sure the directions say use a calculator if you're supposed to use a calculator. We are going to learn how to find the max and min. You figured how to do that with a formula. You have a formula you use to find the max or min, right? And that formula was right here under standard form. X equals negative b over 2a. That's how you do the algebra on it. Now we're going to learn how to do it with a graphing calculator. Well, I made a video about this. This is about finding the max or minimum. Does this have a maximum or a minimum? It's the lowest it can go. So this is a minimum. And what is the minimum? The vertex is the minimum. So the vertex was 3, negative 2. I hope that answered your questions about max and minimum. If it's facing upside down, it's a maximum. That would be a maximum, and I would write down what that max point is.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what I thought you were asking. If it's going the lowest, that's called a minimum. The vertex is the minimum point. It's the lowest it can go. Okay. Now let's learn how to do it with a graphing calculator, finding max and mins, without using algebra. All right, here we go. First thing we need to do on our graphing calculators, we need to go to stat plot. Now that we're done linear regressions right now, we need to shut that off. So second, okay, mine says on. I just hit enter to go in there, enter. And now I'm going to go over so it's blinking on off and hit enter again. So now it's blinking on off. I hit enter, I'm done. Quit, I can go back and check. Yep, it says it's off. So you want to make sure your stat plot is off. Go to y equals, clear out anything that's in there. One last thing is that I want to set my graphing calculator to be a 10 by 10 grid. X is 10, Y is 10, negative X is 10. So I'm going to go to zoom. Number 6 is a standard zoom. It's a 10 by 10, number 6. And that just puts me back at a 10 by 10 grid. I just wanted everything cleaned out. Yeah, it gives you a nice 10 by 10. It reset. If I go to window and I look, everything's going to be negative 10, 10, 1. It resets it back. All right, here we go. Quitting out of there. So we are going to go and graph this. You should know that number 2, it says f of x. Well, that really means y equals, right? F of x means y. Why is that so important that I tell you that f of x is y? Because when you're graphing, what's it got to say? Y equals. Just want to make sure that everybody knew that f of x does mean y. Let's graph number 1. X squared minus 6x plus 4. Graph. The x squared button is here. So I can do x first and then the square button. Minus 6x plus 4. Then we're going to hit graph. See what that graph looks like. Is it in our window? Do I need to readjust it? Is this a maximum or a minimum? It's a minimum. It's the lowest that it's going to go. That's as low as it goes. We need to find the minimum. We are looking for the minimum. So we're going to calculate it. Calculate. Calculate means I can calculate stuff on my graph here. It's not the same calculate that we did with linear regressions. This calculate is explicitly for the graph. So if I go to calculate in blue, calculate, what do I want to calculate? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good job, DuBoard. The minimum is number 3. So I hit 3. All right. I'm going to wait right here for a second to make sure everybody's on this page. You have to tell the calculator where in infinity to look. It's asking for a left bound. Here's my minimum point. I need to be on the left-hand side of that to be a left bound. I can see my cursors right here, and I see that I'm on the left-hand side of the minimum, anywhere on the left. What's going to happen when I hit enter right now is this black arrow is going to come up right here. It's kind of hard to see because it's right on the axis. A little black arrow comes up and the calculator says, okay, I'm going to start looking at this place right here. Then it asks for a right bound. You got to tell it where to be on the right side. So I got to go on the right side of the minimum. Anywhere on the right side, as long as you're on the right side. When I hit enter again, I picked bad places. The arrow's right here. There's 2 black arrows. That's where the calculator is going to look, between these 2 black arrows. If I hit enter again, it says minimum 2.99999 negative 5. So what is the minimum then? 3, comma, it's a point. 3, comma, negative 5. And I'm just going to go like this next to it. And I'm going to go like this. It's a point. Okay, the minimum value is an XY coordinate. It's a point, one single point. Number 2. So go back to y equals, clear, and start again. X squared minus 3x plus 3. X squared minus 3x plus 3. Graph. Make sure you can see your minimum. Remember, if it's not in your window, you can't do anything with it. It's always going to be in the window for you to do stuff with it. If it's in the window, you're good to go. Are we calculating a minimum or a maximum? A minimum, the lowest it can go. Calculate. Number 3, left bound. Be on the left-hand side of your intercept. I am. It's blinking on the left. Enter. Right bound. Give the calculator a right and left bound. Enter. Is that your guess? Yep, that's my guess. Enter. And we get 1.5, comma, 0.75. So I write down the minimum. I'm going to write, you actually have to write what it is too. Min says to write it, right? Yes, you need to write minimum and maximum and then find it. The minimum was 1.5, comma, 0.75. Okay, number 3. We do it both ways in Algebra 2. By hand, with calculator. We're ready for the world on either case. Make sure you're using the negative sign all the way to the bottom. Don't use a minus sign. You're going to get an error if you do. You got to use the negative sign for a negative leading. That's negative 3x squared plus 9x plus 2. Graph. Is it in my window? Yes, it is. If it's not in my window, then I need to adjust it. Calculate. Am I calculating a min or a max on 3?
Maximum.
Maximum, it's the highest it'll go. Give it a left bound. Give it a right bound. Yes, that's my guess. 1.5, 8.75. And that is a max. I'd like to talk about number 5. Finish up what you're doing so we can talk about number 5. I want to talk to you about how you're supposed to be entering fractions in here. I know it says a half. We could put 0.5, but what about 6 when it says 3/8? I want to show you how to enter those in. Okay, number 5. So I'm going to start with putting the negative sign down bottom. Negative. When there's a fraction, you use parentheses. Open parenthesis. And put 1 divide 2, or that's a fraction, and close the parenthesis. So what you got to do with fractions is you just got to keep them grouped together with parentheses. That's one way to do it. Negative 1/2, and then x squared. Notice only the half is in the parentheses. X squared minus 3x. Where am I? Yep, minus 3x plus 2. And then you're calculating a max or a min. Maximum again, number 4. Left bound. Enter. Right bound. Enter. That's my guess. So -3, 6.5. And that is a max or a maximum. When you're done with that one, I want to show you another way on number 6 of how to enter fractions that I never use this way, but I'm going to show you that it's there just in case you want to have it first. So negative. I went alpha F1 in the green. Alpha F1, and it's the very first one. Number 1 is a fraction, n divide d. Now I can punch in 3, arrow over to the 8, arrow out of it, and put my x squared. So those are the 2 different ways that you can enter fractions. I don't have to use parentheses when I use the F1 button, but if I use the divide button, I put it in parentheses. -3/8 x squared plus 6x minus 5 in graph. Is it in my window so that I can see? And it is not. You can't calculate a max or a min unless it's actually in your viewing window. So I'm pretty sure it's not over here in quadrants 2 and 3. Pretty sure I need to be over in this area. So I'm going to make my y value max bigger and my x max bigger. Window. My x maximum, I'm going to go out to, I always put a big number in. What do you guys think? That's too big. I'm going to go 30. And then my y max, I'm going to go 30, and I'm going to check it. If I don't like it, I'll make it bigger. Maybe I need to have it 100 and something. But I usually go 20 or 30, 50, something. Now it's in my window. Now I can calculate a max or min on it. Okay, so you can't calculate unless it's there.